Hey guys, this is Joel from the Finn Castle Pokemon Gym. And one of the unique things about our time in Pokemon, which began back in about mid-2009, is that we have met a wider variety of people than I even know how to quantify at this point. We've played with people in Japan. Our own league had a great player who had dual citizenship both here in Japan. We played all day in a league in Berlin while on vacation in a store where absolutely no one spoke English and had a great time. And then met some of those players again at multiple world championships. There are far too many for me to try to talk about here, otherwise that'd just be a video of me talking for 30 minutes. But my point is that I'm still in contact with some of these folks, and there are some very creative minds in lots of different areas of the world. And playing a Japanese friend online, I was hit with today's deck, and I loved it, so he sent me his list, and I've been playing it ever since. I immediately dubbed this one Donk-A-Matic. I don't think that's what the Gorillaz were talking about in their song, but what a perfect name for this one, especially with our family's history, where Logan's calling card at every Nationals and World Championships that he competed in was always a Gorillaz t-shirt and his New York Jets hat. The focus of today's video is Zeraora VSTAR, which is a character that could easily show up in a Gorillaz video and look completely at home. I'm going to do two things today. I'm going to show you my friends list, and then I'm going to look at what I feel is a more mainline option that I came up with kind of based off of his idea. But let's look at the card first. Zeraora is a V-Star evolution of the basic Zeraora V, so it's basically a stage 1, although it's not titled that, so just keep that in mind. It is a lightning type with 270 HP. It has 1 attack, 1 V-Star power, fighting weakness, and the always amazing free retreat. His 1 attack, Crushing Beat, does 190 damage for 2 lightning and 1 colorless, and states that you may discard a stadium in play, which is mediocre as far as attacks go. Zeraora's V-Star power is a 2nd attack, sometimes their abilities, sometimes their attacks. But this one is called Lightning Storm Star, which for 1 more lightning energy allows you to do 60 damage 4 times to anywhere on your opponent's side. It's kind of a tricky mechanic. You can hit 4 targets, 60 damage to each one, or you can just hit the same one 4 times, or you can do any combination in between those 2 extremes. Things to keep in mind is it is damage from an attack, it's not damage counters. It does not hit for weakness even on the active, and you do have to complete the attack 4 times before you collect any prizes, even if the 60 damage from the first one knocks something out. This card has not been played obviously because of Manaphy, which has been in the format for Zeraora's entire existence. But this list does not care about Manaphy one bit. The Donk, or more specifically the first turn win, often by knocking out a lone Pokemon before your opponent ever plays a card, has always been a little thorn in the side of this game. Both the game creators in Pokemon Japan and their lesser counterparts in Pokemon Seattle have tried to keep Donks out of the game, and over the last 10 years or so have been fairly successful in doing so. I don't remember the year, I think it was 2011, a year that Logan and I were both crushing people with Magnezone Prime, Feraligatr Prime, Spiritomb deck. Pokemon rotated right before Nationals that year because of player outcry over the Sableye Crobat Donk decks, which were out of hand. You literally would start a round and within 3 minutes, half of the field was up and going to report their game because it was already over. I think we went into Nationals and Worlds that year with like 3 or 4 legal sets, which was awful. But later they changed the first turn rules and brought us the best 2 out of 3 format, which replaced donks with slow play and ties, so that's where we are at the moment. But speed and setup have always been part of the game, and this deck uses its speed to challenge your ability to set up. And you can produce that 2nd turn win, the evolution of the donk I suppose. And surprisingly, if you miss the early win, this deck is more competitive than you might think. Now, what brought Zeraora back into relevance is Dusclops from Shrouded Fable. Dusclops sports the ability Cursed Blast, which lets you knock yourself out and put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. The limitation to just one Pokemon makes the math for this deck kind of clunky, but I think if it lets you spread the 5 around, it would probably be too overpowered. As you can see, I went with a full 4-4 line of Duskull and Dusclops. I think the original was 3-4. It also played Secret Box, which I switched to Hyper Roma because it made it easier to get that 2nd turn onslaught of multiple Dusclops. Speaking of that, let me describe how to play this thing real quick. You need to get a Zeraora V down and then dig for those electric generators. and try to charge him on your first turn. Along the way, while you're doing all the digging, you should get chances to get down several Duskull, hopefully at least 2. 3 is awesome. Then on turn 2, evolve to Zeraora VSTAR and as many Dusclops as you can. Then you need to take a moment and just assess your opponent's field. You want to see if you can wipe out everything in matchups like Charizard or Gardevoir or Dragapult. And if you can, just let it all fly, knock yourself out 3 times if you have to, if that puts everything in range of Lightning Stormstar. And if not, you may want to play more conventionally and just fight with Crushing Beak. Your goal is to have everything ready on turn 2, but you don't have to burn it all, especially if it's not going to really net you anything. The math in this deck is awkward, as 50 from Dusclops and 60 from Zeraora miss several things. There's a lot of 70 HP basics out there, and 110, 120, the combos of those two is overkill on most of those 70 and 90 HP targets. Radiant Alakazam is there to move a few counters around to make some of that work out better, but if Manaphy is in play, you have to use 2 Dusclops to get him. I like to hit 50 first to something else and move 20 over with Radiant Alakazam, then hit 50 again to clear the Manaphy. After you take out Manaphy, then Zeraora can take care of everything else. The original list played just 2 Vs and 3 V-Stars as well. And that kind of deck building must be a major difference in my brain and many Japanese players. I see these unbalanced lists a lot from over there, and I need it balanced out, if just for nothing more than peace of mind. Everything else here is to just dig and speed through the deck. I love the support of Carmine. It's basically giving you a first turn research, even if you go first. The Squawkabilly EX also helps you dig more, as do the trekking shoes. There are 2 of the Night Stretchers, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about tossing Pokemon or energy early. There is only 1 copy of Cassiopeia, but she comes into play more than I thought it would when I first looked at the list, because you really do play everything in your hand. And if you plan your turn out well, Cassiopeia can be a very powerful card. Academy and Night Stadium is cool in here as well. I've been using it with Gutsy Pickaxe and several other fighting decks that I'm working on at the moment, but in here it pairs very well with the electric generators. Of course, Mew EX provides that utility of retreat, a little bit of draw power, and he can be a backup attacker, which I don't use much in here, but it's always an option, so don't forget that Mew can attack. The last thing to mention is Defiance Band. Remember that you do knock yourself out with Dusclops, which activates Defiance Band. So when you use Stormstar, you can actually hit 90 to the active. It seems to me, with the wording of everything, that if you just wanted to hit the active all 4 times, that it should do 90 each time, but TCG Live only adds the 30 at the end, 1 time after you're done attacking, so I assume that is the correct interpretation. But remember that extra 30 when calculating where you're going to attack. I'm going to come into a game against Charizard, already into my first turn, just because this is a really quick game. I already hit Electric Generator, I've already used Squawkabilly EX, got a few more cards in my hand. Going to use a Poffin, go ahead and get down. Only had access to 2 Duskull, that's enough for this one. Get down to Mew, put the Defiance Band down on Zeraora. Like I see, he's already got 2 on him. Another Generator, I've got 4, that's all you need on him. And we'll play the Nest Ball we get off the Mew and get this Alakazam down. That's going to be important in this game. On to their turn. I don't know if they didn't have Manaphy, don't know what's coming, or if he was prized. They did get 4 basics down, but no Manaphy, so it makes this really easy. So we're just going to go ahead and evolve to both Dusclops. I'm going to attach that energy to Mew just so I can draw more with Mew, so I do need to get my V-Star. Off a restart, I do get that, and that's all I need for the rest of this game. We're going to go ahead and kill the first Dusclops, and we're going to get 5 onto the active Charmander. This is kind of important while I was talking about Alakazam being important. I want to go ahead and move 2 of those off. All these 70 HP guys are a little bit harder to hit, so we'll set up that second Charmander. Going to axe the second Dusclops. Get 50 onto the third one. It puts everything in range of Zeraora V-Star, so we'll use his V-Star attack, and 60, a little 60 for everybody there. And we'll knock out all 4 of these guys on turn 2 before they ever had a chance to evolve and do anything. So not officially a donk, but it's about as close as you can get into this format. We'll take 4 prizes there, and very quick game. going to show you a match against Chin Pao. I still think Chin Pao is probably one of, if not the best deck in the format. It's not getting played a lot right now. But it'll also show you how to deal with Manaphy in this matchup. I like to get my Mew down just to have that free retreater, a little bit extra draw power. Gonna Ultra Ball, go ahead and get Zeraora down. Just need one of those on your typical first turn setup. Want to get the escape board and get that Dust Skull back until we can get some other ones down. We don't want that one to get knocked out. So we'll send Mew up. Attach energy there. Sometimes never know about playing that Trek and Shoes. You don't want to get something in your hand you're going to have to throw away. You got an energy. It's not going to hurt too bad to toss that. We'll toss that and get these generators. That's really what we're digging for at first. I got that Zeraora VSTAR in my hand. Really don't want to have to toss that, but I'm going to anyway. Energy is more important right now. Then we use Squawkabilly X and toss everything. Got a pretty good hand. I got that Palfin so I can get a couple more Dust Skull down. That way I'm not worried about one of those getting picked off. I'll hold on to the Ultra Ball. Just going to hold what I have for the turn here. Chin Pao is very consistent. Got a pretty standard setup. Got Manaphy down. Don't need any more energy there, so I'm going to attach to the Mew. Then we'll go ahead and get 2 Dust Sculpts evolved. Ultra Ball for that Zeraora VSTAR. And evolve there. That'll let Mew draw for 3. That's the best you can get. Really the best scenario with Mew EX. Didn't help any because I just got 3 energies. So we're going to go ahead and take out that Manaphy. Like I said, talked about the math being kind of weirdness. You do have to overkill the Manaphy. Have to waste a few damage counters, but he does have to go for this to work. Of course, the Bidoofs are there. You can't attack them on the bench either, so got another one that would be an easy target, but we can't get him. Off of our prizes, get another V. Hoping to not need him, but we can go ahead and get him down. Retreat, come up to the VSTAR, and we'll use the VSTAR attack. And we're going to take out the Frigibacks, the active Bidoof, and we'll go ahead and get 60 down on that Chin Pao. It gets him within range of our 190 attack. 2 more prizes there, another Dust Skull, another energy. Back on their turn, that aggression kind of set them back a turn. They have to get another Frigibacks down. They get Radiant Greninja. I'll go ahead and start readying that second Zeraora, and we'll use Carmine again. Get the Defiance Band down there, and then because we got that Chin Pao in range, we can go ahead and just knock it out. Take 2 more prizes, unless they can one-shot the VSTAR, puts us in a winning scenario there. So one thing I love about the Chin Pao deck is it can recover so quickly. They do get a Baxcalibur down. They go and charge the Greninja, and they're just going to snipe my 2 Dust Skull. Come back to me. I just take out the Greninja for the last prize. So that, like I said, that aggression at the beginning of the match just makes it to where they're playing catch up for the whole game. If they got another Chin Pao, it might have been a little different, but they couldn't. And that's the last prize in the game on that one. Wanted to show a little bit of footage from a match with Dragapult EX. This is the older version that still has Secret Box in it, as you can see. Same approach here. Going to go ahead and use a Dusclops to knock out a Natu. Then we'll be able to come back up with the Zeraora. Take out the Dreepy that has energy. That's the important one to get. Another Natu for our prize, and then some damage on a bench Dreepy that will surely become a Dragapult soon. But that's always good for a future setup. As this match goes on, I keep putting pressure on them with Zeraora VSTAR, but all the while attaching energy to the Mew EX on the bench. Could have probably been setting up a VSTAR there as well, but I do like what Mew can do here and copy the attack. So at the end of the game, I had 3 prizes left to take. They were down to 2. Just to use Mew to copy, finish off that Dragapult EX, and spread some damage on the bench and finish off that one I damaged earlier. So you definitely don't want to neglect using Mew in some of these matchups. I hate to shift gears on you last second, but if you like Zeraora and you don't want to go for the crazy approach of this deck, I thought he was worth a look in Miraidon. Miraidon's strength is taking multiple prizes with Iron Hands EX, and as you have seen here, Zeraora VSTAR can consistently get you 3 and sometimes 4 prizes. He's got free retreat versus Iron Hands, and his 4 energy retreat cost, his HP, and his crushing beat attack are better than what Iron Hand brings, in my opinion. So here is a rudimentary Miraidon list adjustment. I say rudimentary because I've only had a chance to play this about 10 times, so it may not be completely worked out, The biggest difference off the bat is that you need to use Zeraora's VSTAR attack, so a Sealstone cannot be used here. And I think I've got the consistency that Sealstone provides compensated for pretty well in this list. So give this one a try if you're interested. I like how it's played so far, but we're not going to get into an in-depth analysis on this one, just don't have time. I'm going to wrap it up there. In the interest of time, I believe I was able to show you the major tricks of Donk-A-Matic. And just messing around with that one, I feel like we really missed the boat on playing Zeraora, VSTAR, and other things. But there's still time this season, so at least surprise some players at your league with him. Thank you, as always, for watching. Interact with the channel in any way that you see fit. Until next time, be not afraid. Later.